Okay, so well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Whenever you are new to ADHD or you've been at this for years or you're ADHD yourself, this hour is for you. In the next 40 minutes, we'll look at why individuals with ADHD do what they do, not because they want to drive us crazy, the parents, right? Or the teachers, but because their brain truly works differently. Then we'll move into clear, doable tools you can try this week, hopefully. One thing that I want to say is I'm neurodivergent myself, and both Joyce and I work with neurodivergent population, and our kids are neurodivergent, so we completely understand many things that parents go through. This is very personal for us, and that's why we did this free webinar, to give some taste of some tools that you can take today. Please note that there are many types of parenting, and there is not one size fits all. So that's really important to say. So a quick disclaimer before we begin. Everything in this workshop is for educational use only and not medical advice. We're educational therapists and special ed teachers. We're not doctors or psychologists or psychiatrists. If you suspect ADHD or want a formal diagnosis, please reach out to a licensed professional. We are here to teach, share, and support. So this is like, you can get evaluation through a licensed psychologist or neuropsychologist for formal evaluation, or a pediatrician or child psychiatrist for medical management. Also, a developmental pediatrician can help as well. So what you're gonna work with today, we're gonna talk about the ADHD brain. We're gonna talk about each one of these bullet points. By the end, you'll know why your child struggles, and we'll have real tools this week. So this is just what we're gonna go over with today. So ADHD is not really about a child being distracted or zoning out. Like Dr. Russell Barkley describes it as a disorder of executive functions. The brain's built-in self-management system. That means that it has nothing to do with intelligence or laziness or bad parenting. Never. You're doing the best that you can for your child. If your child knew how to do it, they'll do it. And the ADHD brain isn't unwilling. It's struggling to manage itself. So few practical takeaways is that make time visible, use timer, and we will talk about it more. Use timer clocks, visual countdowns. Don't just say, we'll leave in 20 minutes, okay? Because kids that, and individuals that, and adults, ADHD, have some time blindness, so cannot feel time. And this is why we wanna make sure that they have visual tools, like clocks and visual countdowns. Something that is a common myth, also with ADHD, it's not about too many distractions. So many people think that ADHD means that kids notice everything at once. And Dr. Barkley clarifies it, that people with ADHD don't actually perceive more distractions. They just have harder time filtering and regulating their response to them. So their brain ignore this is a signal for a weakness, and it's not the input itself that is louder for them. I hope this makes sense. It's like think of executive functions as the brain's boss, okay? Executive functions are skills like planning, starting, task, controlling impulses, managing emotions, and following through. In a typical brain, these run fairly automatically, but in ADHD brain, the boss hasn't fully developed yet. And I'm gonna emphasize on yet. So the worker, which is the child, is left without direction. Even when they want to do the right thing, they need more scaffolding. So the ADHD brain is like driving a manual car instead of an automatic one. And you can absolutely drive it well, but it takes more conscious effort, and I'm emphasizing effort and energy, to shift gears and control speed. So it's not broken, Nobody needs to fix anything. It just needs more intentional input. And that's really important to say.
So I'm gonna make it a little bit interactive right now. So a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever heard this from a teacher, maybe a relative, maybe you thought it yourself. They could do it if they just tried harder. Has anybody heard that? Yes. Definitely. I think my husband said it once, which I had to correct him. So here's what the research shows. ADHD is not a motivation problem. The brain has a harder time releasing the chemical dopamine that helps us start and stick to boring tasks. So that's why your teen or your child can play a video game for 3 hours and concentrate on and have great focus on the video game. But opening a backpack and working on homework for 5 minutes is a struggle. So it's not preference, it's their brain chemistry it's their brain chemistry that's creating this problem. So when we stop calling this a choice and start treating it as a neurological hurdle, everything changes. We stop reaching for harder punishments, and then we start finding ways to help engage their brain. Basically, they need to be, sometimes they're bored. And boredom is one of the ways that that motivation affects those with ADHD.
And it's painful for them. They get bored.
Yes.
I mean, yes, it's painful.
So these are the executive functions. So quick question, who has walked into a room and forgotten why they came in?
With your thumbs up.
If you have a thumb up, yeah, sorry. Anybody? Okay, I'm sure it's happened to me. So that's executive function on a coffee break. These are yeah, exactly. So some of the core executive functions are here. I could go over them. We can talk about them in the Q&A. But some quick facts about the executive function skills that we all have. They start forming around age 3. They're not fully developed until late 20s. We all struggle with some, or we were stronger at some and weaker at others. They can grow with the right support. And ADHD is closely linked to weaker executive function skills, but you can have weak executive function without ADHD. So when your child or teen struggles with planning, impulse control, procrastination, they're not being defiant. It's their brain that's still under construction. I always tell my clients this, yes, when they first meet me, and that you're a work in progress. So
yeah, I like that too. Lisa Engoff also talks a lot about it. And brain under construction, Dr. Lisa Engoff.
Okay, so think of the prefrontal cortex where most of your executive function skills are housed, and that's this part of your, like almost like your forehead. That's the CEO of the brain, so it runs the show. There's planning happening there, focusing, holding back information that you want to not tell somebody when you're upset with them, problem solving. In ADHD brains, the CEO comes online about 2 or 3 years later than in their peers. So a 12-year-old with ADHD may be working with the executive function skills of a 9-year-old. So this isn't an excuse. This is just what we're working with. If you add stress or a missed meal, those skills will slide further. So think of when you're stressed or hungry or hangry, as my kids always called it, you might have a hard time controlling your emotions. I remember there are many a time, I hate to admit, that somebody has come in while I'm working and stressed and something, get out of here, shut up, which is not a great thing to say, but that's what my executive function skills are not working at that time. So the takeaway is we don't need to parent harder with our children. We need to parent with the support their brain needs because it hasn't finished building yet.
Oops. Yep.
Is it going? There you go.
Okay. So one of the things that we hear a lot is related to task initiation. And so let's talk about something that trips us as parents, but also as educators, is that, and honestly, we all do this. We all struggle with task initiation. We all struggle with task paralysis, or you want to call it procrastination. Honestly, it's a very human behavior, and adults do that too. The amount of time that I said, I'm going to do the laundry later is, I better not count, because it will be infinity. So infinite count of I'm going to do it later. So starting a task, it looks simple from outside. Like, we sometimes hear, just do it already, right? But here's what actually is happening inside your child brain the moment you say, hey, go do that thing. So here how it can look like. So have you ever told your child to start their homework and 45 minutes later, the backpack is still by the door? Anyone want a thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay, so I don't know what about you. It happened to me multiple times. For young adults, and here is an example. It can look like, I will do it later, right? Joyce and I just spoke this week, and we had an incident that we asked, one of us asked our child, to put the pizza box away, right? And sure, they said, sure, yeah, I'll put it away. Do you think they did? No. So, and then they don't do it. Yeah. Oh, why did you leave the yogurt on the table after you ate it? Right? It needs to go to the trash. So that's a task initiation, okay? And it deserves its own conversation that we're not going to go into so many details, but we're going to try to do some stuff that can be helpful for today. So there are actually 5 things that need to line up before task can even begin. Now, many things happens really automatic in our brain, but also please remember that our kids are still developing their brains. So first, we need an autonomy. They need to feel some internal pull. A reason for that is that they need to feel that it's also their choice. It's not just we tell them what to do. Another thing is that we need an opportunity. So the right time, the right place, and access to whatever the task needs. The third one, we need capacity. Do they actually have the skill and tools to do it? Think about writing an essay. We work a lot with teens. This is one of the biggest tasks that teens struggle with, is writing an essay. Fourth, energy and resources. Are they tired? Mental fuel, right? Physical fuel. Are they running on empty? And are they hungry? Are they tired, right? And fifth, we need environmental support. These are the cues that we need to make the starting easier. Or the things working against them. So if there are outside, so when I'm talking about environmental support, is it a noisy environment? Do they have everything they need around them, right? Do they need quiet space, right? So these are the environmental support that we can give them. So now this doesn't mean that we throw, okay, so here's the thing before I move forward. And this is important. If one of these is missing, starting often just doesn't happen. It doesn't mean your child is lazy or defiant. It means there is a link in the chain of this chain that we're looking at that is broken. So the next time they seem stuck, instead of pushing harder, we're going to try to be curious and say, and kind of try to ask ourselves, which piece is missing? Which piece is missing right now? Honestly, from a personal experience, and I can only talk from my personal experience, most of the time, I have many kids that are struggle with energy and resources. They might be hungry and tired, especially after school. And sometimes it will be the capacity. They don't know the skill. And I never had a child who didn't want to be successful or didn't want to try. If they don't want to try, that means that something is going on emotionally. There might be something going on with anxiety, stress, emotional dysregulation, and we will go deeper into that too. So this doesn't mean we throw out expectations, right? We still have rules. And let's take an example, summer reading. Many want the kids to, I mean, yeah, me too. I want my kids to keep reading in the summer and not just during the school year. So the rule might be like this. You read every day, right? But we can hand back a little autonomy by letting them choose what they read and how long they're going to read for. And maybe they only want to pick up graphic novel. Totally fine, legit. Maybe they want to read, I don't know, I'm thinking about one of my clients right now. Maybe they want to read a manual of their drone. That's legit. That's still reading. So that's still giving them the autonomy. And that counts because they still read. So that's real reading. So when a child has a say in how they meet the expectation, that first piece, autonomy, clicks into place and starting becomes a little bit easier. So that's really important. I'm going to repeat that. When they have a say in how they meet expectations, that's the first piece to start. They need to have an autonomy. So the shift is this, from why won't they just do it is to what do they need to be able to. So that small thing, like reframe, change. So this small reframe changes everything about how we support them and how they experience us and how, it's better for our relationship with them as parents. And we also have the other piece, right? They started, but they need to follow through. So yes, they do need to follow through. So let's say they started, yay, awesome. Okay, so we do have a cycle with this. So for kids that have challenges with executive functioning, that internal pull start has a biological layer on top of it. So, and that changes everything. So, sorry, that's the core truth. So the ADHD brain can't initiate without a clear, immediate payoff. It's not a choice. It's neurological bottleneck. So once we get that, we stop fighting the child and start working with their brain. So just 2 minutes, that's the whole ask. Starting is the hardest part. Once they're in the start, they're in the momentum, and then they can, continue working. And if they have challenges to start the work and they know, let's say we got it, they know the task, they know what they need to do. We can do things with them. We can buddy double, which is great way. And actually you don't need to say anything. You can just sit there. You don't need to help, don't hover, just, be present. Drink your coffee, scroll on your phone, whatever. Work on your computer.
Your presence, yeah, work on something that you have. Yeah.
Yeah. Your presence alone regulates their brain. It's also part of co-regulation, is being in the same room together. Novelty is to change something small. So maybe a playlist that they like to listen to. I would recommend not something with words, but maybe just like soundtrack. Different room. I had clients that said, okay, I have clients in college that said, okay, instead of like being in the dorms, maybe the library, because in the library, you also have buddy doubling. There are other people in the room with you. Win-win, 2 things. And color pens, whatever, right? So the ADHD brain runs on novelty. We want to give it a spark, okay? Glam. And we also want to have a verbal commitment. So they can repeat and say it out loud, because some kids have challenges with auditory processing and with working memory, which is part of the executive function. So let's say something in the lines of, I'm starting in 5 minutes. I have a client who says this to its dog. Fine, the dog is there, they listen. So we want just saying it and hearing it activate part of the brain. So it bridges, I can't talk today, I'm sorry, I've been working all day. It bridges intention and action. So they put this together. So we want to say it aloud. These are small shifts, but understanding why we get stuck can really, really help. And that's the real tool. Okay, so kids with ADHD, they also, like I said, they start a lot and they finish much less. When you see one more half-done project on the table, the easiest explanation is she doesn't care, or he's being lazy. But honestly, here's what is really actually happening in the brain. Finishing a task requires holding the goal in mind, blocking out distractions, noticing when attention has wandered and coming back, sometimes multiple times. That's not one skill. That's multiple skills. These are several brain systems running in parallel at once. So this is why maybe this is why you see the pizza box not being thrown away. That's why you start an art project and you keep it on the table. Yes, it happens a lot. So for a brain with ADHD, that's genuinely hard. Not dramatic, not an excuse. It's just hard because there are so many systems going at once that need to go at once. So how can we help? How we can scaffold to get to the finish line? We want to chunk and check. Don't show the whole mountain because that can cause overwhelm. It can cause anxiety. We want to break the task into 1, 2, maybe 3 steps and celebrate each one before moving to the next. Small wins are real wins. I will also want to have visual progress tracker, a simple checklist, paper, whiteboard, sticky note, have them physically cross each item off. That small action gives the brain a tiny reward and builds momentum. The check mark is a dopamine hit. I do it a lot for myself. I don't know if you guys do it for yourself, especially when you are an adult and you have a lot on your plate. There is like something really nice for me in my case is to cross out laundry. That's my favorite.
You can also put it on separate pieces of paper, separate post-it notes, and then kids love this. They crumple it up and shoot a basket of each thing that they've completed.
I did it yesterday. I had sticky notes on my desk and I was like, woohoo, to the trash. Okay. We also want to use visual timers. And here's the thing. Not Alexa. Sorry if I got everybody's Alexa working right now, and not a Google Home, and not a digital clock unless they see it running. They need to see the time. Let me say it again. They need to see the time shrinking. And match the timer to where they are. So I know many of you maybe heard about Pomodoro technique, but Pomodoro comes in many, like every other tomato, like Jessica, I forgot her name, from How to ADHD. She has a great video and she says, tomatoes come in all shapes and sizes. So why not a Pomodoro? That's her quote. And I love it because it doesn't mean that you have to do 20 minutes or 25, because for some individuals, 20 minutes is too long. So maybe you want to start with 10 or 5 and build from there. So the goal is a timer they can succeed with, not one that will overwhelm them. And then we want to do an end goal visualization. So we want to bridge between effort. So the bridge between effort and reward isn't automatic for many ADHDers. So we want to build it for them. So before they start, ask them to picture the finished product in their mind. Many of our kids just want to rush through. And we just want to pause for a second and ask them to make a picture in their mind and name a reward that will go with that. For example, when homework is done, we'll watch a movie or we'll watch a TV show or I'll watch the YouTube, whatever. That mental image is an anchor and it makes the future feel closer. So follow through isn't a character trait. It's not about whether your child wants to succeed. It's a skill. And like any skill, it needs the right tools and the right environment to develop. We also want to practice this. So our job isn't to push harder, but it's really to build smarter scaffolding around them. And when you do that, you'll be amazed what they can finish. So I want to give a very short shout out to Sarah Ward's work. She's a speech and language pathologist, and she created a model to teach kids exactly that, how to plan backwards before moving forward. So think of it like a Google map, okay? You need to get to the destination, but you don't start driving and hope you end up somewhere good, right? You type in the destination first, and then you have a route, right? The route appears. You can go through the direction. So this is the done, okay? The done, which with the red part on the screen, starts here. Before anything else, picture what finished look like. What does the completed homework, the clean room, the packed backpack actually look like? This is the destination. Kids, like I said before, kids with ADHD often skip this step entirely. They start without knowing where they're going. I'm going to repeat that. They skip it because they want to rush through it, and they start without knowing where they're going. Now, the do, it's the green part, is work backwards, is now that you can see the finish line. So what do you need to do in order to get there? So these are your action items. What step do you need to do in order to get there? And in what order? And how long will each step take? So this is the route. The get ready is what you need to gather before starting the task. Do I have all my materials? Right? So this prevents the constant stopping and starting that derails focus. So we want to make sure that they have practiced the steps. And this can go from making the bed, dishwasher, empty the dishwasher, taking a shower, all those things, writing a paper, doing your math homework, like all those things that we need in order to function. Many of you who work maybe in the tech industry, we call it engineer, I think it's called engineer planning or engineer backward planning. This is like the final project when you have a final project, right? So you start from what your boss wants, and then you go backwards. Really, really important to teach them how to do that. Now, with thumbs up or thumbs down, how many of you used reward charts and they failed? Anybody? Okay.
I have.
Me too. Thank you. So if you use reward chart with your child and it failed, you didn't do nothing wrong, you guys. You're awesome. That chart is not successful for ADHD brains because of, like we saw before, the follow-through. It failed because of how ADHD brain is wired, and there's a real science behind it. Dr. Margaret Sibley, she's a clinical psychologist and researcher at the University of Washington. She has a book called Building Skills and Motivation, that genes linked to ADHD are directly connected to dopamine. So the brain chemical that drives your response to rewards, that's dopamine. And in the ADHD brain, we know that dopamine doesn't work. I mean, dopamine works differently. That's why we have the meds also. That internal signal that tells most kids this effort will be worth it, right? So it's quiet for our ADHD kiddos. So, and sometimes it barely fires at all. So when we say earn 10 stickers, you get prize Friday, they cannot hold that for the whole week. We need to have an immediate reward. Why? Because of time blindness, and because the ADHD brain have different way to see time. They don't see the time. So Friday might be same as saying next year for them. So we always tell our kiddos how we're going to reward ourselves. And we want to make sure that the reward is something that as a family you can agree on and commit to. And we want to make it closer to the effort that they put on the task. Let me give you an example. I just had a client. We worked on study for an exam. And I asked him, well, you're studying right now. How are you going to reward yourself after our session? So he said he wants to have chocolate. Okay, that's his reward. I gave him that. No worries. So make sure you have something. I'm not saying feed your child sweets all day, but have something that they can work with, right? And that it's also going to be easier to stop, because if they're going to watch YouTube videos, it's going to be hard, or play video games, it's going to be hard to move back to the task. So we definitely don't want to use something that will make them continue doing, I don't know, a video game where they are still writing the paper and they need to come back to the task. If they're done writing the paper, yeah, go play video game and submit it. Very important to submit it too. Okay.
Okay. The scariest 12-letter word in the English language is organization to some people. So I've had clients come up to me. I've used planners, tried them, binders, lost them, apps, ghosted them. Most systems are built for a neurotypical brains that come with built-in filing cabinets, easily accessible. But for the ADHD mind, if a task isn't physically visible, it's invisible. So basically, we're going to stop trying to force a square peg brain into a round hole system and try something that actually clicks. So if you can go on to the next slide. Organizational systems. So the golden rule is, like I said before, if they can't see it, it does not exist. So that's why a beautiful planner, this is my favorite part, beautiful planner that we get fails. I believe in around fifth grade, fifth grade, we get a planner and it's awesome. The teachers force them to use it. And guess what? Half of our kids are not using it for the reason that's supposed to be used. They might fold it neatly into little things, but no, it's not used. So because it requires multiple hidden steps before you even begin to do your homework. So remember, you have the steps you have. So the child was forced to write down the assignment. They get home, they have to open it, because remember, out of sight, out of mind. They have to find the right page that it's on, because maybe they don't have a clip or something like that to find that out, or a bookmark. And then they have to finally start the work. So there's 3 things that you have to do before you even get started with the homework. And then that homework part is a whole nother thing. So some things you can do is to use an open storage, only open storage, either clear bins, hooks, open shelves. Visible things get used and put back. If you use closed drawers and binders, they disappear. Literally, if you put, oh, we got to put everything in our desk. Think about when the kids are at school, they have it in their folder. They've closed their folder, just like they've closed their planner, out of sight, out of mind. Don't remember it. Another thing you can do is a 1-page command center. So either 1 page, 1 place on the wall, everything they need at a glance. No apps to forget or a list. Because an app closes and your phone, you can turn it off. So you need something that you can see. The third one is a landing zone, 1 labeled spot by the door. Backpack always lands there. No decisions, no hunting. It just happens to go there. My suggestion, though, is when you set up the environment, the landing zone, make sure you consult with your child and decide what will work for them, because it has to work for them. It doesn't have to work for you, because you're not the one finding your backpack. You're not the one finding your binder. Even though we feel as parents that we are going back to school, we are not. They have to learn to do this. So evening reset is the 4th one, maybe 5 minutes the night before, backpack packed, outfit out, schedule checked, Mornings will be less chaotic. And when I say this evening reset, it's not you saying, okay, do you have this? And did you get this and this? It's more so, what do you want to do with your homework? I want to put it in my folder. Okay. What do you want to wear tomorrow? And obviously you're going to guide them a little, but you want them to have the autonomy and the say so in it so that they can feel like they're accomplishing something too. If they can't, if they have trouble deciding, I have some clients that can't remember, I don't know, I can't pick, then you have two choices so that they can pick one. So next slide.
Just I want to circle back for something you said. What you can also do with the done, do, get ready. If you have a younger child, you can even take a picture of how it looks like to be done, right? How does it need to look like? Because we want them to develop the picture in their mind. We want them to make us the simulation, because when we tell them, they are not making the picture in their mind. We are directing them. And we want
because we have already, yes, we have already made that picture in our minds. I always give that example. Yeah. So let's put this into practice. So information is just noise if we don't actually do something with it. So here's a simple plan to get moving this week. Instead of just adding it to our someday pile, we can get started. So if you can turn the next slide. So if you want, you can take a picture of this slide. Also, we will have the video or this on YouTube so you can rewatch it again. This is a 7-day starter plan. Notice I'm not asking you to change everything, just one thing per phase, done with consistency. So like day 1 and 2, this is your mindset. So you're in your child's mindset. So your reframe is everything. So when you hear a child, when a child hears your brain works differently, not wrongly, a door opens up. So you tell like I said, you tell your child your brain works differently, not wrongly. You stop using the word lazy, replace it with needs different approach. You observe when does your child function best? Note the conditions. If they are awesome at 5:45 every evening after they've had their dinner and they're ready to go, that's when they do their homework. Even though you might want to have it done after school usually they have held it in all day and they need to relax. So it could be a 10-minute relax. They might be hungry, something like that. Let's see. The second, days 3 and 4, set up the environment. You're removing friction. The less they have to think about, the more the system works. You create like we said, create the landing zone, backpack by the door, tape a simple 3-step evening checklist somewhere visible, and try the 2-minute launch on one avoided task. Remember again, when you tape that simple 3-step evening checklist, you need to get their input when you're making the checklist. Because again, if it's your desire or what you want done, it's you, not them, and they won't execute it as much. And day 5 and 7, you try one tool. You won't get it perfect. That's fine. Progress, not perfection. Doing one thing at a time, doing one evening reset, using a visual timer for one homework assignment or session. Celebrate every small win out loud. Celebration doesn't have to be, okay, I'll go buy you a video game. It can be literally, good job, give me a hug. We're going to dance around the room now. Put the music on. Something like that to celebrate them. And again, it's celebrating out loud. So that's a great focus on, you could say things like, that's a great focus on the 5 math problems. That kind of recognition is fuel for the next time. You want to literally recognize, not like good job, you want to recognize exactly what they're doing. So I'm going to leave you with this. You're not failing your child. You are learning a new language, the language of the ADHD brain. I had to learn it, Maayan had to learn it. Every parent here is already doing something extraordinary by showing up. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a parent who gets them, and you are becoming that parent right now. So 3 things to take home. ADHD is a neurological difference, not a discipline problem, and they're not lazy. The right scaffolding changes everything, and you can provide it. Consistency plus compassion is the most powerful combination. And it's how you word things also, like, don't do that. Maybe ask them, what are you doing? Just how you reword and ask your questions helps.